Hey guys, welcome back to Brian's Train Room. In 1957, Lionel introduced the 6519 Allis Chalmers car. Absolutely such a cool piece and prototypical of what was on the railroads at that time, moving things around. But what's really cool is to make a car like this, Lionel had to, well, make an actual prototype. And what I'm showing you here today are twins. These are two absolutely fantastic prototypes for the 6519 Allis Chalmers car. And that's coming up next.
The simple thing about this equipment is that you're in control. Yep, on the Lionel line, you're the boss. Tell Mom and Dad you want a Lionel electric train.
So again, this is an absolutely fantastic piece, and again, there's two of them, which is incredible. But I'm going to show you sort of the comparison between the two. So this is regular production piece. It did come with a lighter shade of orange, but for today, that's irrelevant. All right, in this particular situation. So you notice how the frame is kind of a sort of elevated with sort of a hole in the middle that this sort of fits into with brake wheels on both sides. The frame is plastic and has little holes. Part of it, again, this is based off the prototype of the car or the real car in real life, and you can see the little holes there. And then this is sort of the generator container piece, okay, which is gray plastic, has holes in it up top and also down at the bottom. You can see the plastic here, and it's holes up top. Has the wire that holds it in place, and is really kind of a really fantastic piece. Now, all this is based on, or developed, and let's see how this compares to our mock-up that we have here. So this mock-up has a couple things. All right. First of all, Lionel wasn't producing any other car or piece that had this type of frame, so they had to make that. So what they did is this is actually made of wood. It's actually hand carved or hand hewn to do the shape that was anticipated or that was designed. This is also made of wood. Again, doesn't have the open front up top on the container like this does. This is actually painted. And this is a decal. See the decal here simulating the holes, and then so are these. These little holes here, these aren't holes. These are actually decals simulating what it was going to look like in production. There's no holes down here as seen on the regular piece. All of the lettering that you see here is decaled. It is absolutely fantastic. What's really neat about this particular piece as well is that it only has one brake wheel here, sort of the middle of the piece. But isn't that fantastic? That is a gorgeous piece. And as I mentioned, there's not only just one that I got to evaluate, but there's two. Not often do you get to see the siblings together with a piece like this. That is fantastic. So when you're researching the development of a car such as the 6519 Allis Chalmers machinery car, it's always good to sort of go back to the paper and see, is there something back in old catalogs or paperwork or photos anywhere that gives you an indication of exactly how this all developed. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a real quick trip down the paper associated with this car that has been found. The first publication we're going to take a little peek at is right here. This is not a Lionel publication. This is a publication from PBX, which is the New Jersey Bell Telephone Company. Why? Well, in Christmas of 1958, they did an article on Lionel trains. Why would they do that? Well, PBX serviced the Lionel Corporation, and so they had access to write an article on one of the companies that they worked for. So when you open up this page, which is really great, it's an interesting actually little article. It has a couple different pages showing what goes on in the factory and some really cool photos. I'll share with those another time. But the best part of it, and relates to the AC car, is right here. On this part, it says, Lionel trains are made to scale from blueprints provided by railroads. Richard Crevitt is shown making scale model drawing as he studies a photo of the new Allis Chalmers merchandise car. So you see him sort of studying this photo, and in this photo is a real-life car that the toy car, or the Lionel car, was modeled after. So once they have this, then they start going to the next steps. So what are those next steps, and where is that next step shown? So the next step or place I go to tends to be the advanced catalog. This is a 1958 advanced catalog. In the advanced catalog, remember this came out early and sometimes before production had started on certain pieces. In this instance, it is showing an early version of the AC car. Now this AC car is actually, what it's showing is much, much closer to actual production, but there are a few differences. I feel like the actual structure of the flat car may have been made at this point, and this is what it shows. This looks right, but the actual generator part, the insert here, is definitely different and certainly a little more modeled after what we're looking for. The brake wheel's in the right spot, but there's just something totally different about how this is put together. Now, once the consumer catalog rolled around for the exact same set, this is the Virginian set, you can see that they actually got this down, and you can see the changes or upgrades they made in the actual production of the actual merchandise, so the machinery sort of container part that it was transporting, where it's got the little cleave here, and it looks like the tie downs are in the right location. But there's a little hint that something was a little bit different early in the year, right there. So then we go to a little bit of a different publication, one that may have been taken when other pieces were there. So the first little magazine we're going to go to is going to be right here. This is the True men's magazine from December of 1958. Again, not a Lionel publication, but one that did an article on Lionel trains. And they did an article on basically the developer, or Mr. Lionel, which is Joshua Lionel Cohen. And the name of the article is basically Mogul of the Miniature Railroads, where it shows him with some trains, some of the early products that he made, as well as, you flip to the next pages, it shows some of the current things that they're making. We'll get to this in just a second. But on the first part of the article, it shows an absolutely incredible photo. And that photo is JLC holding a mock-up, or early thought process piece of the Virginian. Now this Virginian actually has 4 zeros, so this is a total pre-production mock-up going, hey, this is what it's going to look like, and it is thought that this particular piece was made of wood, very similar to the way the AC car was made. What's even more interesting, if you're really looking at this picture, is behind his left shoulder, up on the shelf, is this car right here. This car right here matches exactly to the car in question. This is off the shelf. Remember, this was taken in 1958. This right here is a photo of the pre-production mock-up of the AC car. The nice thing is there's a second photo that was taken pretty much the same time. He's in the same suit, and maybe he put his hat on. Another picture, and this was shown on the cover of the Train Collectors Quarterly, summer of 1980. And again, he's holding the same Virginian. Look over his left shoulder on the same location of the shelf is a little bit cleaner or clearer picture of the AC car. And again, it's an exact match of the piece in question. Now, what's really great about this particular article in the True magazine is on the second set of pages, it shows an absolutely fantastic view of the 1958 showroom display layout. And not only is there some just incredible product on here, but it actually shows not one, but 2 of the AC cars. The first one is located kind of on the first level behind this nice little row of 6464 cars, and you can see it right here. Right here, sort of facing the long way at you, is unmistakably one of those AC cars. The other one is in much better view, which I'm certainly happy to see, and that's on the bottom right-hand side, right here. This shows incredible detail. This is straight out of a photo straight out of the magazine, and you can see that this car matches up perfectly to the piece in question. This is absolutely fantastic to see. It also shows that when they made these pieces, they didn't just make one. There's at least two of these on the layout. Absolutely fantastic. Remember, we looked at two of these. It may have been possible that the two pieces we're looking at are from straight off of this layout. That would be absolutely fantastic. One more little clue as to, hey, this piece has been around for a while. This is the cover of the Train Collectors Quarterly from April of 1983. And on the back, which is customary for them to do, is they show some of the new and unusual items seen at the York Train Show in Pennsylvania in October of 1982. Sure enough, a fellow collector brought his copy of the AC machinery car Mockup, and he brought it for us to see, and you can see that this again matches up perfectly. What's very interesting is this car does not match the two cars. In other words, there's some little chips in the decals that the other two that we inspected do not have, meaning this is a third example of this that we can track down. That's also very interesting when you have a piece like this, is to see, hey, where did these certain cars come from? And pictures like this give a clue when one of these comes for sale, knowing, hey, what's the provenance, or where did this particular car come from, which is absolutely fantastic. Again, when you're looking at one of these cars, you use all of the materials that are available to you, such as this, to say, hey, this is the history of a car such as this. Fantastic. So a few final thoughts on the 6519 mock-ups. First, how many did they make and why did they make them? Well, based on what I have observed today and looking at the previously documented sample, there are currently 3 that are known. According to Project Roar and archive paperwork, it appears that at least 10 were ordered. Now, how many were actually made is unknown, and how many were destroyed after they became obsolete is also unknown. The 6519 was included in 3 sets in 1958, and they would have needed at least that many for use at Toy Fair that year to show one in each set. They also would have used 1 or 2 on the display of new for 1958 items. Any further examples could have been given to salesmen to show their regional clients. So far, we have a count of 3, but there just might be 1 or 2 still lurking out there. Keep in mind that each example is identical in construction and decoration. Secondly, the craftsmanship of the car is amazing. The wood structure and machinery container are faithfully duplicated from the originals, and the decals really created the look of a finished item. When compared to its regular production counterpart, there are few visual differences between the two. Lastly, it was an incredible experience getting to inspect not 1 but 2 of these mock-ups. Not often are the siblings available in one place. I am glad I got to share that with you guys. All in all, these 2 mock-ups of the 6519 inspection car were the highlight of my trip to York Train Show this past year, and I am grateful for the opportunity. Hey guys, that's my video. Appreciate you listening and watching, and I hope you enjoyed that. You know, it's been 1 year since I started this channel, and I have had so much fun sharing some of the rare, unusual, and oddball trains with you. And again, I hope you like them too. I love hearing the feedback from you. And hey, if you like some, give me a little checkbox. I always appreciate that. And by the way, tell your friends. If you've got a post-war Lionel collector that you know hasn't seen Brian's Train Room yet, it's time you kind of introduce them to me. Got some great stuff to show them, and guess what? There is way more coming your way. Now, I don't do these videos by myself. I have a number of friends and fellow collectors that have shared pieces, information, and all the things that I need to be able to try and put this thing together for you. And I thank them at the very end because I cannot do this without their help. So, hey, keep watching. Got some great stuff coming your way. And again, as always, thanks for joining me on Brian's Train Room.
Lionel Express, all aboard. Look at her streak along the rails. It's a Lionel.